What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock and what you should be looking out for the future. I'm also going to break down what's going on with the debt ceiling as Biden and McCarthy have come to an agreement. I'm going to give you guys a recap of Friday's Tesla had a very explosive move to the upside. I'm going to break down what this tells us about the stock price moving forward. Before I break anything down about Tesla and Nvidia and many other stocks out there like SPY and the QQQ, let me just mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I am not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, whether it's $1 or $100, it's up to you. You are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $3,000. And the best part is, any could be a free Tesla share. The offer ends in just about 3 days from now, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So, all right, guys, I'm going to talk about what happened on Friday and also this whole debt ceiling situation. I was unavailable on Friday during the evening as I had a lot of graduations to be attending. I am back from the trip. It was very long, lots of driving, very tiring and tedious, but it's a-okay because it was very eventful and fun at the same time. But anyways, now let's talk about the charts. I didn't really get a chance to talk about Friday once again because I was away during the evening. So I want to talk about that. And then with this whole debt ceiling, as an agreement has been reached between Biden and McCarthy. And although that's awesome, we're not necessarily in the clear just yet for the entire situation. But first, let's talk about Tesla. What happened on Friday? Obviously, SPY was up pretty big, up 1.3%. It reached 420, and I was telling you guys if this thing broke 415 to 416, expect this thing to fly all the way up to 420, and that is exactly where SPY went to. I told you guys for the QQQ, if we got a clean break above 340, it's going to fly to 345. And it ended up going even higher, hitting 349.5 in the after hours and reaching 348.4 in the open hours on Friday. So it blasted to the moon. I was calling this move. Tesla also, I was telling you guys this thing would reach around 190 a share. And if it broke 190, we'd see 195. I was very, very bullish on Tesla. I was leaning more in that direction. I was open-minded though. I gave you guys both of the possibilities, but I was leaning way more bullish. For example, if you don't believe me, right here, I recorded this video on Thursday. I told you guys Tesla may explode tomorrow. That was for Friday, and that is what ended up happening. And I was basically anticipating that the market would make a very explosive move to the upside, given the technicals. And I fell under the assumption that we would get lots of progress involving the debt ceiling. I was very confident we would get some kind of agreements between Friday and Tuesday, right? Between that time frame. And I was predicting that because I was seeing such an explosive move around Friday or on Friday itself, we would get some kind of agreement by Biden and McCarthy. And I said this because I was looking at the transcripts between McCarthy and Biden. I was reading what they were saying, and it seemed like they were very close to a deal. Now, my prediction was almost entirely correct, but a little bit early on the agreement. And what do I mean by that? Well, I predicted the market would explode. I said that about Tesla, Apple, and all these different stocks, and the market exploded. I saw this massive short squeeze on Friday. But we didn't get the agreement yet on Friday. We were very close to getting it. A lot of people said I was crazy. I was stupid for what I was saying. But lo and behold, Saturday came. Okay, one day after I was predicting it was going to come out, and look what happened. Biden and McCarthy have reached a tentative U.S. debt ceiling deal. This is some great news for the USA. Breaking news. This is just making it all over. Let me just pause this ad real quick. This is making all the headlines, and they're doing more and more and more important things moving forward. A lot of progress has been made. And this is once again very positive for the US economy, very positive for the stock market moving forward. Now, will the market get a very, very good reaction to this? A lot of the reacting has already happened, but there is still some potential if we break and hold some major, major resistance. But on top of this, please note that we're not in the clear just yet, because then we have to see the House going through this, agreeing and looking through it. I have some quotes from McCarthy that just came out this morning. McCarthy said, and I quote, there's so much in the debt ceiling deal that is positive, McCarthy then said that more than 95% of the House Republicans are very excited about the debt ceiling deal. Then he said at 6 o'clock a.m., the debt ceiling agreement is a step in the right direction. It includes pay-go restrictions for the U.S. administration. And the list goes on about the other things like that. I mean, if you look at other articles, right, right over here, the White House and McCarthy moved to lock down votes after striking deal to avoid the default. Progress has been made. I was guessing or predicting that it would happen as soon as Friday, but I was very confident between Friday and Tuesday, but I was leaning on Friday. It ended up happening on Saturday, so I was very, very close about when this would come out. And I predicted that the market would get a very nice move for Friday because of this. And as you guys know, someone always knows the market knew this deal was coming. They were very, very confident, and the market loved to see it. There was a lot of negotiations that were done in the process of getting this done. And now we're still waiting for more and more and more uh, different congressional members to approve it. There's still more work to be done, of course. But like I said before, progress has been made, and this has been positive for the markets. So now let's talk about some of these charts just briefly. For Tesla, my prediction for from Thursday, I said on Thursday that for Friday, Tesla would fly all the way up to 190. And if we broke 190, we could see 195, but at the very least, I was seeing us at least breaking 190. And what did Tesla do? It did make the explosive move I was looking for. It went even higher to 198. Why is 198 significant? Because on the daily chart, that is very close to where the 200 EMA is at 198 flat. But notice how we failed to break this major resistance, because when you zoom out of the Tesla chart, you will see we have a tendency of getting rejected off this 200 EMA. Now, this is significant because we haven't broken out of it just yet, and we need a major catalyst to break this and fill the gap in the low 200s. We touched it, came a tiny bit above it just temporarily, then we came right back down to 193, closing up 4.72%. So there is major resistance right here. However, there is not a major sign of weakness in Tesla's chart. It's still looking relatively strong, and there is potential for it to try to break this if we get more progress. But for now, could this be a buy the rumor, sell the news event? It's a possibility, but I'm not leaning in that direction yet. There's no confirmation of that just yet. I do believe the market's going to downtrend later on. There's going to be a big like rug pull coming, of course. It may take a while though. It could take many weeks. It could take another month or so. It's going to take a while, but like I said before, we'll just have to wait and see how the market reacts to the debt ceiling agreement so far, because you always have to remember the whole saying, buy the rumors, sell the news. But I do believe there is potential for the market to just keep going. And if Tesla does break 198, it's going to fly into the 200, then 205, then 207 zone. There is still potential. We just need that confirmation. And for now, we're looking strong. Now, for many other stocks out there, I was telling you guys that SPY, if we break 415 to 416, it's going to fly to 418 to 420. Specifically, 420 is some major, major resistance. Now, what happened? Now that the deal came out, we could get more of a push because SPX could go to about I believe 42, like 18 or something like that was where the zone is. So we could see SPY try to break out a little higher, make an attempt to do so. If we get a clean break and hold above 420, we could see this thing fly all the way up to 426. That is a real possibility. And right now the market's looking relatively strong. I made a prediction, okay, on I think it was Thursday. On Thursday, I made the prediction. The market's going to fly up. We're going to see a squeeze. Why? Because I was looking at the options chain, and check this out. The market makers knew the debt ceiling deal was coming between Biden and McCarthy. So what they did is they pumped the markets, and then they got algos to start buying with them. So the algos came in and they used them to their advantage. And then they caused a lot of shorts to start covering, absolutely annihilating the short positions. What do I mean by that? Look at the puts. 800 in the money, almost a million out of the money. They absolutely destroyed the shorts and caused them to get squeezed. All right. I was calling a move like this. I thought this was very likely. SPY reached 420 as I predicted. For the QQQ, this was even stronger than what I predicted. I was anticipating that this thing would go to about 345 or so. That's where I was seeing this thing going. Maybe like a 1% or 1.5% up day. Instead, it was up 2.5% plus, and this thing reached almost 350. Now, if this thing keeps flying, if it keeps going, because it is very, very like overbought, we are kind of overextended on a lot of these tech sectors. That does not mean the market can't like pump more. It definitely can, right? There's no sign of weakness yet, but I'm going to be careful buying at these high levels. Yes, the debt ceiling could pump the markets even more, but then what's going to happen after, right? I'd be very careful seeing how overextended some of these charts are, especially on like the NASDAQ and the QQQ and many others. But for now, like I said, a lot of these moves were predicted. I told you NEO could get a nice bounce too. I told you I was very bullish on Meta. Meta just exploded well past 250. My prediction of Meta was I saw Meta flying above 250 and making its way closer to 260. Instead, I went all the way up to 262. And then I told you that looking at Nvidia, what I'm seeing for Nvidia is this. Nvidia is a very, very interesting company. It had relatively strong earnings, okay? And it has very high expectations for the next year, going to the first half of the next year with a projected 50% growth in revenue. Nvidia has strong earnings. That's part of why it's pumping so hard. And we saw so many people expecting it to crash. What I told you guys about earnings was it could always fly or it could crash depending on how earnings goes. But you always have to be open-minded as the chart was not really showing us major signs of weakness. I also told you that Nvidia would likely drop right before earnings, and that could be a good sign for something, but I wasn't really sure, and I remained very, very open-minded with this. I didn't really call this thing like exploding or even like crashing. I just remained very open-minded and wanted to wait for earnings. Instead, we got a very explosive move. Now, looking back at like the options on this, we started to see a lot of large call sweeps on Nvidia for these very high 300s. So lots of these big investors knew this would happen. They were started to like sweep and take up all of these orders. And that's part of why this thing got this big pump for like a gamma squeeze. Now with Nvidia, I'd be careful buying at these levels just yet because what I'm seeing for Nvidia is it may start to range trade a bit. I don't think it's going to crash to fill this gap. I'm seeing just range trading between like the 370s and the low 400s. I think it's going to likely range trade a bit. It may even cool off later on over the next few weeks. Just a little bit of very healthy pullback with the markets. Not saying it's going to crash, just a small pullback to like the 370, 360 area. Later on, after the whole debt ceiling news is like dealt with and the market does drop a bit, before Nvidia explodes back into the 400s later on, approaching 500. And I think this thing has more room to run, okay? So what I'm saying about Nvidia is it's going to likely range trade for a bit, trade between these ranges into the low 400s and then like the 370s or so. Range trade a bit, could have a bit of a pullback with the market later on by like the June to July period, as I am seeing the market getting a correction soon after the debt ceiling situation is dealt with. And then we have some new catalysts such as the FOMC meeting and CPI. And then, after, Nvidia cools off a little bit, it's going to be very healthy, not a crash, just a very, very healthy correction phase before this thing rockets all the way up into the 450 area, approaching 500 or so. I think Nvidia could do it. People are going to say I'm crazy for it, but right now there's not even many like major signs of weakness on this chart. I mean, it just keeps going and going and going, and a lot of the expectations of this thing crashing just blown away. It's just very impressive, and it's not good to just short a stock just for the sake of it being overbought, right? That's not how you should strategize. You gotta wait for that confirmation because what goes up can always go higher in crazy markets like this. Not financial advice, by the way. So what am I seeing for the market? Is the market going to pump more? Well, we need some confirmation. If we get a really nice clean break of this 420 area, we haven't really done it yet. A break and hold above it in a strong manner for a nice duration of time with consolidation. Then we can see this thing continue to fly into like the low 420s, approaching 426 if we get a good reaction to the debt ceiling. And then for Tesla, right now the major resistance zones are going to be 195 and then 198, where the 200 EMA happens to be. We could break it, okay? We could break this red line, but in order for us to do it, we need a major catalyst. Maybe if they end up raising the debt ceiling once the deal is completely done, because they have the agreement right now, but the deal is not officially done yet because we have to wait for like other congressional members, right? We have a very polycentric system. We're not just going to be, depending on Biden and McCarthy solely. We have other congressional members to look at. So it's going to take some time, of course, but for now, things are looking very positive, and I still can anticipate some nice price action. Break the 200 on Tesla, this thing could keep going. All right, so watch it all very carefully. But anyways, that's what I have for this video. Let me just remind you guys that we have a lot of unemployment data coming out for the next week. We have JOLTS, job openings and job quits, and then the unemployment rate itself is coming out alongside initial jobless claims. So we have tons of unemployment and employment data coming out over the next couple of trading days. And then after that, we have the CPI and the FOMC meeting going into like mid-June. So the year is just flying by. It's already June. We're very close to June. And time just flies, guys. We've got to enjoy our times, our lives, and so on and so forth. So anyways, thank you all for listening. I just wanted to make this video very brief. I just wanted to let you guys know the deal coming in was not a big surprise. I was calling this, and it did come very, very quickly. And there's going to be more progress very soon, in my opinion. All right, thank you for listening. I will give you guys more details on the markets later on. And please, please, please remain calm, cool, and collected. The Webull link is down below. Don't forget it. Deposit any amount of money and you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. Offer ends in just 3 days. Tesla to the moon as the long term is very bright alongside the overall market. And peace out.